How can you begin to love and accept the woman in the mirror? That's today's viewer question. I'm Dr. Mary, and we've been talking for the past couple of weeks about how to reawaken your inner goddess and really connect in with yourself so that you can manifest the life that you want and achieve your life goals and really create what it is that you're striving for. Last week we talked about the first step in my process, which was to acknowledge what brought you to this point. This week I want to get to step 2, which goes along with this week's viewer question. In order to awaken your inner goddess and to really become the person you are meant to be, you have to accept yourself and love yourself for where you are right now. I work with thousands of women around the globe in my 20 plus years of doing this. And nearly every single one of them has come to me and wanted me to fix her. Ladies, let me tell you something. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. This doesn't mean that healing doesn't need to occur. It does. That's why we're here. It doesn't mean that life lessons don't need to happen. They do. That was the point of step 1, acknowledging what brought you to this point. But how do you really face the woman in the mirror with love and acceptance when maybe you're coming from a place where you've never really experienced unconditional love, self-acceptance, or even self-love? I'm not talking about narcissism here. I'm talking about you being able to love you for who you are right now. I think it's great that you're on a path, that you want to reawaken your inner goddess, that you want to heal those broken off aspects of yourself. But you have to first acknowledge what brought you to this point and accept where you are right now and heal that so that you can move forward to step 3. So if you're ready to take that next step, to really learn to love and accept yourself, because really that is our natural state. We are born in love. We are creatures of love. But oftentimes, early on in life, we felt like there were conditions placed upon that love, that we weren't loved and accepted for who we were. And so we became superwomen, which we talked about in the first video of this series, in order to meet that need for love and affection and belonging, because we got the message somewhere early on in life that we weren't good enough just as we are. So if that's you, and you're trying to figure out how the heck am I supposed to learn to love and accept the woman I see in the mirror when I'm not there, I'm nowhere near there, I want to share the 4 steps with you that I took to really transform my relationship with myself so that I could begin to love and accept who I was right now, heal those broken off, splintered parts of me, feel whole and complete again, and then grow to create and really manifest the life that I wanted. Step number 1, you have to stop the comparison game. You are not your neighbor, your sister, your coworker, Oprah Winfrey, Brendan Burchard, Danielle Laporte. You are not the people that you look up to, that you admire, that you may be related to. I'm not saying to not admire people. I think that's fine. But when you compare yourself to somebody else and find yourself lacking, you're giving yourself the message you are not good enough. You need to fix yourself. You're broken. That's what we're trying to avoid here. Stop the comparison game. I realize this is not easy to do. Several years back, when I first started on my own healing journey, I had to enact a media ban, full-out media ban, no TV, no magazines, very limited internet, only for work purposes, because I was so good at comparing myself to other people and criticizing myself because I felt like I wasn't good enough. and I was always striving to be better, but it never worked because my yardstick kept growing, right? So I kept comparing myself, and even when I improved, in my mind, it still wasn't good enough because I still wasn't Oprah Winfrey. I wasn't Ellen DeGeneres. I wasn't, any of the powerful women that I was comparing myself to. So for a while, I had to stop exposing myself to individuals that I admired and looked up to, but yet was in my mind comparing myself to and finding myself lacking. Because it was just feeding into my feelings of unworthiness and not enoughness, and I'll never be good enoughness. So stop the comparison game. Number 2, we are often our own worst enemies instead of our own best friends. So in addition to stopping the comparison game, you have got to stop the negative self-talk. I've shared this with you before, and I'm going to say it again. Negative messages are 5 times more powerful than positive ones. That's brain science. We are wired to respond to negative messages for survival purposes. So it's like for every time that you have a negative thought about yourself or someone else, because your brain doesn't really know the difference, you need to say something positive 5 times in a row just to cancel out that one negative. And who has that kind of time? So, some tips. When I started on my journey, I had to surround myself with positivity so that when I would go down that road, that rabbit hole of negativity, I could look up and see what I call my wall of positivity. I'm actually going to show it to you right now because I didn't get rid of it. I rotate the messages on my wall of positivity, but I still have it. So every room in my house has positive messages. I have a lot of them, what I call my wall of positivity, in my home office because I spend a lot of time here. And so when I'm having a bad day and I start to go down that rabbit hole of I'm not good enough, I do the comparison game, I start having those negative thoughts, I look up and literally I am surrounded. I am surrounded by messages of positivity. So that's my wall. That's right above my desk. And so as I'm working in my home office and I look up, I have an old vision board. I have all kinds of sayings and quotes that resonate with me. And I frequently change them because we do habituate to things that we see often. We get used to them being there so we don't pay attention anymore. So as I find new quotes, new affirmations, new things that resonate with me, I stick them on my wall. And then whenever I look up, I can come in here and be surrounded by positivity. So number 1, stop the comparison game. Number 2, stop the negative self-talk. And the best way to do that is to surround yourself with positivity because, believe it or not, eventually those messages are going to sink into your brain. And it's rewiring your brain to focus more on positive than on negative. So your thoughts become more positive than negative. Number 3, envision what you want. We are all here for a purpose. We have a life's long mission that we are meant to accomplish. This may alter, it may evolve, it may change over time. Mine certainly has, and that's okay. But in this moment, I want you to really connect in with your heart space and ask yourself, what is my mission? Who am I here to serve? What is my goal in life? What is my soul's purpose? And if you focus on achieving that, then the rest of the stuff, the chatter, the comparison game, the negativity starts to fall away as you raise your vibration to get in alignment with what you were really meant to be doing with your time. And ladies, let's face it, most of our soul's purpose is not to be a supermodel or to be the next Oprah Winfrey or whoever you're comparing yourself to. They have their own life's path and you have yours. And yours is unique to you. And so figure out what that is. What are you passionate about? What is your mission in life? And why don't you start spending some time that you had been using to compare yourself negatively to other people or to have these negative thoughts? Start focusing that time and energy on achieving your vision and your mission. And if you're not sure what that is, go to my website, drmarypritchard.com, and you can click on Work with Mary, and you can actually sign up for a free session, a free consultation with me, and I can help you get clarity on whatever it is that you're meant to do. So that's number 3. Focus on your vision. Create a vision board. Start taking steps and map out from A to Z where you are now and where you want to be. And then baby step it. You write down the 100 steps it's going to take for you to get to A to Z, and commit to yourself to taking one a day or one a week or one a month. Do something. Get in the mindset of aligning your actions with your higher purpose. And I promise you, the comparison game, the self-judgment and self-criticism is going to start to drop away when you align yourself with where you're supposed to be going and raise your vibration to get there. Number 4. This is the hard one. This is the one you've been waiting for. It's really learn to love and accept the woman in the mirror. So you're stopping the comparison game. You're stopping the negative talk, replacing it with positive. Surround yourself with positivity. You're going to envision what you want and start taking action steps towards that big purpose in life. But at some point, there's going to come a day when you need to look at the woman in the mirror and be able to love and accept who you see there. Where you are today at step A, not where you're going to be 100 steps from now at step Z. This was a long process for me, and one that evolved over the course of months. But I'm going to give you a snapshot. So the first thing that I started to do was one day when I had this realization that it didn't have to be this way. I didn't have to be miserable. I could, in fact, create, manifest the life of my dreams. I had the power to do that. But I had no idea at that point how to do it. I made a vow and a pledge to myself. And the first thing I had to do was to love and accept the woman in the mirror. And that's actually the vow and the pledge that I made to myself. If you want a copy of those, just go to the website, drmarypritchard.com. You can download them for free. They're part of my free gift. And I started reciting that vow and that pledge every single morning. And I did it for 30 days. Every day. It took 30 seconds. This wasn't a time-consuming thing. But what happened is the more I did it, the more I started to believe it. The more my thoughts, my actions, and my attitudes, my feelings started to be in alignment with those pledges. One day, I wrote a love letter to my body, and really a love letter to myself. And I made myself think of something that I was grateful for every aspect of me, especially the things that I didn't like about myself. So if you want to see my love letter, you can also get that at my website. That's part of that free gift that you get. And I just give these to you to give you an idea of what yours may look like. It's going to be different than mine. I get it. I'm just giving you some samples of things that I did and how you can start. The next thing I had to learn to do, and this was the hardest thing for me, was I had to literally look at the woman in the mirror, eye to eye, and say to her, I love you. And again, this is something I did for 30 days. I did it for longer than that, but that was my original commitment to myself. It takes 21 days to make a habit, 40 days to really cement it. So when I first started out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days. And I actually went on a lot longer than that. And now I can do it and not even blink an eye. Now, when I first started doing it, I couldn't even look at myself. I would avert my gaze every time. But as the month went on, I was able to start actually looking at myself eye to eye, like seeing into my soul and saying, I love you. And the more I could do that, the more I started to believe it. And that, ladies, is the thing that transformed my relationship with myself most of all. And granted, by this point, I had already stopped the comparison game, or, tried to. It's a work in progress, right? I had already started surrounding myself with positivity. I envisioned what I wanted. So this was really the last of that process. But over time, I began to really love and accept and appreciate the woman I saw in the mirror. Now, if that's too scary for you and you're like, oh, I can't do that, Dr. Mary. I can't look at myself in the mirror eye to eye and say, I love you. I couldn't either. I tried it. And again, I committed to myself to do it every day for a month. And I would, I love you, Mary. Right. And then I would not even look at myself. I would mumble my words. And over time, it got easier. But what I also did during that time frame is every morning I would take a pen and I would draw a heart on the palm of my hand. Now, this is something that really nobody but me saw. Occasionally, if someone would see it, and it would wear off throughout the day as I washed my hands, and so I'd have to redraw it on there. But what happened is that I talk with my hands a lot. And so every time I would talk with my hands or I'd be reaching for something, I'd see that heart. And that was my little mental reminder to show myself some love and some gratitude and some affection. And again, if you do that, 21 days to create a habit, 40 days to cement it, if you do that day after day after day, consistently, you begin to believe it. You begin to see that heart and think, I really am worthy of love. I'm not just enough. I'm freaking awesome. I have done so much. Look at me go. And again, we're not talking about narcissism here. Self-love is not narcissism. It's unconditionally loving and accepting the woman you see in the mirror, wherever you may be on your journey. So if the eye-to-eye thing in the mirror is just way, way out of your comfort zone right now, start with a hand. Start with drawing a heart on your hand. And as you get more comfortable with that, then start the exercise where you're looking at yourself in the mirror. The final thing that I started to do to really improve my relationship with myself and my body, and again, this is all part of the step 4 of really learning to love and accept the woman in the mirror by facing her and giving her that love and affection she needs, is I started a morning ritual where before I even got out of bed, I would list 5 things that I was grateful for about me and specifically about my body. Because at that point in my life, I was trying to heal my body shame. And so I wouldn't even open my eyes. I would start with things like, I'm grateful for my sense of touch because I could feel the sheets on my body or feel the cold air if it was summer from the AC on my skin. What do I hear? Oh, I hear the birds chirping. I'm so grateful for my hearing. What do I smell? I smell the heater, or my dog, or whatever. Roses that are in my vase on my dresser. What do I taste? Well, I can still taste the toothpaste on my tongue from last night when I brushed my teeth. And then finally I would open my eyes. And by this point, I already envisioned what I wanted. And so I created a vision board and I put it right across from my bed. So it was literally the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night that I saw. And I would look at that and it was like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. So just, again, this doesn't have to be a big thing. 30 seconds. Start your morning in gratitude. And if you feel up for it, or if it doesn't work for you to do it in the morning because the kids are needing to get to school and you're busy, do it right before bed. Again, 30 seconds. It doesn't take that long. But I started a morning and evening gratitude practice over a decade ago. And I can't tell you how much that has changed my life. Be grateful for your body. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for you, for your strength, your courage, your perseverance. Keep doing these things consistently. And I promise you, you will learn to love and accept the woman in the mirror. It's Dr. Mary. That's step 2 of our process of reawakening your inner goddess. I hope that answered your question about how to love and accept the woman in the mirror. Keep the questions coming in for me to answer either on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mary TV, or on my podcast, Reclaiming Body Love. You can submit a question by emailing drmary@drmarypritchard.com. While you're on the internet, head over to the website to get that free gift I talked about that has my self-love vow, my self-love pledge, the love letter I wrote to myself and my body, and a bunch of other cool stuff. My Goddess Path to Body Love and Self-Love. Read some blog posts, leave me a question, listen to the podcast, watch some more videos, and as always, keep those questions coming in. Thank you for being here. One of the things that I am most grateful for is having you in my world. So next week, we're going to continue our series with step 3 of how I reawakened my inner goddess. In the meantime, keep those questions coming in, and I'll see you next week.